Welcome, running English learners. Today, we're exploring the complex world of trade tariffs, guided by insights from a Wall Street Journal report. We'll examine historical examples, modern policies, and potential future impacts. Let's begin.
Before we get into tariffs,
the heart of the Donald Trump economic plan.
we should talk about the chicken war. In post-World War II West Germany, people started eating a lot of chicken, specifically American chicken. This made European farmers mad, so the organization that later became the European Union put a tariff on chicken, 25. Imports quickly dropped. US chicken farmers and politicians were furious. So the US put a 25% tariff on trucks, like Germany's Volkswagen, and it worked. Meanwhile, Germans paid more for their chicken, and Americans had fewer truck options. It's kind of a perfect example of what tariffs do: hurt consumers while protecting very specific industries, or attempt to get countries to change their behavior. Let's start in 2018, when President Trump put tariffs on
washing machines.
Since then, whenever a washing machine is imported to the US, the company on the US side doing the importing pays a tariff to the US government.
They've got to pass that price on to consumers who ultimately pay it. That's the whole point, in some sense, to reduce demand for those goods and create space for domestic producers.
After the tariffs, not only did the price of imported washing machines go up, so did the ones made in the US.
There's this myth out there that if we tax imports, domestic producers won't change their prices. And that's not the case.
So naturally, the price goes up. And it wasn't just washers. Dryers went up in price too, even though they weren't part of the tariffs. Now, it wasn't all bad. These tariffs did
Create a lot of jobs.
about 1,800, but because of those price increases, it cost consumers $1.5 billion more. So they basically paid $815,000 per job.
This is a very expensive job creation program.
These weren't the only tariffs Trump created in 2018. The big ones were on
Steel and aluminum.
All the industries that use steel and have to pay the higher price, that squeezes their profit margins. And so a lot of studies have shown that you lose jobs, as many, if not more jobs, in those downstream industries as you gain in the upstream industries that are being protected by the tariffs.
Many studies on the 2018 tariffs found some pros, some cons. Manufacturing jobs, which were on the decline, didn't increase, but they did level out. The overall economy lost jobs, mostly in those downstream industries, and the costs of the tariffs were passed on to US companies and consumers. So, not great for the economy, but it did motivate US companies to move out of China and made supply chains more resilient. But it didn't change much of China's behavior. But here's the thing. Even with all the economic downsides, a review by the Biden administration suggested Trump's tariffs should remain.
Once tariffs get in place, there are two factors that sort of keep them in place for some time. First of all, there are going to be domestic interest groups that have a stake in seeing those tariffs maintained. And second of all, tariffs are a bargaining chip. So why would we sort of unilaterally get rid of these when we might use it in some negotiations down the road?
Tariffs are really hard to remove. It's why, 60 years later, there's still a 25% tariff on trucks.
So we're still living with the legacy of the chicken war.
Tariff policy is kind of old. Trump's plan for a second term is to bring them back dramatically. He's proposing a 60% tariff on everything from China, and a 10 or even 20% on every import from every other country. Multiple independent studies looked at the possible effects. One found it would cost the average American household $1,700 from higher prices. Another found it could cost more than 684,000 jobs. And they don't factor in retaliatory tariffs from other countries.
They're not going to take this lying down. They're going to retaliate. So not only will U.S. imports shrink, but U.S. exports will shrink as well.
Trump wants to use these tariffs as a revenue stream for the U.S. to pay for tax cuts. In the last 20 years, China has gotten aggressive, investing in manufacturing.
Allowed President Trump to really restart the whole discussion about using tariffs. So the whole environment has really changed. The whole global and geopolitical environment has changed quite dramatically.
And it would change even more dramatically with Trump's proposed tariff plan. Trump wants to play a game of chicken to find out.
Let's quickly recap the key takeaways regarding tariffs. 1. Tariffs, taxes on imports, impact prices and domestic industries. 2. While protecting some sectors, they often raise consumer costs broadly. 3. Potential job gains can be offset by downstream losses and retaliation. 4. Modern proposals carry significant economic risks. To help you better understand the concepts discussed, let's break down some key vocabulary from the video. These terms are crucial for grasping the nuances of trade policy and economics. Tariff, it's essentially a tax designed to make imported goods more expensive. Example, the government placed a new tariff on imported electronics to encourage local production. Imports mean the products bought from foreign countries. Example, Japan's main imports include petroleum, electronics, and clothing. Consumers mean the end users buy products in the market. Example, higher prices directly affect consumers' ability to afford everyday items. Domestic describes things made or happening within one's own country. Example, the company focused on boosting its domestic sales before expanding overseas. Retaliate means to strike back when attacked or harmed. Example, if one country imposes tariffs, the affected country might retaliate with its own tariffs. Downstream refers to industries or processes that use the output of another industry. Example, steel tariffs negatively impacted downstream industries like appliance manufacturing. Supply chains mean the network involved in getting a product from raw material to the consumer. Example, the pandemic caused major disruptions to global supply chains. Negotiations mean the process of talking to reach a formal agreement. Example, the two countries entered into difficult trade negotiations. Revenue means the money earned by a government through taxes or a business. Example, the new tax policy aimed to increase government revenue. Aggressive means acting forcefully, often to gain an advantage, sometimes seen as hostile. Example, the company adopted an aggressive marketing strategy to capture market share. That's the complex world of tariffs explained. To boost your English and grasp key economic terms, subscribe to Running English Now for more lessons that accelerate your learning and mastery of important global topics. Keep practicing and stay informed about the world.